So far this school year, we've talked about some big picture things. We've talked about the coming of the universe. We've talked about the relationship between the sun and the earth. Well, now we're going to start looking more closely at some of the elements that make up our earth. And before we dive too deep into those, there are a couple concepts we need to make sure we understand. One of those is heat. This is a match. This is one type of heat. It is coming from something that's burning, like a fire burns. I have my hand right here, and here I can feel the heat coming from this match burning. And that is a special kind of heat called direct heat. Direct heat. Now, see, I have my hot plate here right now, and I have a metal spoon. See, my plate is hot. Don't touch it. But I am going to take my spoon, and I am going to touch it with my spoon. And I'll hold my spoon here on the hot plate. And I'm going to leave it there for a while. And a little while longer. But now when I remove this spoon from the heat and I put my hand next to it, I mean, you're not here to feel this, but I can feel some heat coming off of the spoon. Now, was the spoon hot to begin with? No, it wasn't hot to begin with. It got hot because I had it applied to the hot plate. Another form of direct heat, that burning, well, not literally fire burning, but this is what's burning, creating the heat. And then my spoon, though, took some of that heat, and I can feel it. And so this type of heat is called radiant heat. So we have matches, fire, hot plate, direct heat. Something else that has gotten hot as a result of one of those other things is called radiant heat. So let's look at what this means for our earth. Let me get our charts here. So here you can see our lovely chart. Here we have a mountain, we've got the sun, and the sun is warming up the layers of the atmosphere. The rays of the sun are coming down, heating up the earth. The sun's rays, short, strong rays of light and heat coming and warming our earth. But think about this too, though. The earth then begins to absorb some of that heat. As you can see down here, it's nice red and warm. And while the sun's rays are also warming the earth is also being warmed by the heat that is radiating from the ground. The rays coming off the sun are short and strong, but the rays that come off the radiant heat is weaker, and they end up coming off in all different directions, and they kind of get trapped in the different layers of the atmosphere. And we've talked about how there's that atmosphere, atmos coming from the Greek word meaning vapor, around our earth. And because that atmosphere traps in that radiant heat, it keeps the Earth's surface much warmer than the Earth would be otherwise. The atmosphere actually is heated up more by the Earth's radiant heat than the light given off the sun, which is a form of direct heat. Isn't that interesting? I had no idea. Now, we can imagine what that looks like by looking at these charts right here. A classic, quirky Montessori chart when out of context you might have no clue what this is trying to get across, but there's a point. There is a point. So if we are, for example, at the base of a mountain, close to ground level, we're covered by all the layers of the atmosphere, kind of like this individual being covered with all the layers of the blankets. The nice radiant heat is coming up off the earth, keeping us warm. And the blankets of atmosphere are keeping us protected from the cold of space. But let's say you go up that mountain, you're gonna lose some of those layers of blanket, AKA atmosphere. And so you get fewer blankets. And you don't have as much radiant heat working its way up to you. So you're much more exposed to the cold. Hence why this poor guy's got a blue face. He's really cold. And so that's why if you were to ever climb a mountain, it may be really hot and sunny at the base, but it's also really important to bring layers for once you start climbing, because even though you are literally closer to the sun, you're not gonna feel warmer because you won't have those layers of atmosphere trapping in the radiant heat from the earth to keep you warm. Isn't that interesting? I like it down here where we have many layers of blankets to keep us warm, but occasional adventure up a mountain sure sounds exciting.